Your budgie is screaming again, not chirping, not singing, screaming suddenly, loudly, sometimes for minutes at a time. And the strangest part is, nothing seems wrong. The room is quiet, they have food, water is full. No predators, no obvious danger, so most owners assume one of two things: either, my budgie is just dramatic, or they scream for attention. But here's what almost nobody realizes. Budgies almost never scream for no reason. That sound is usually a signal, a stress response, a fear instinct. Or your bird trying desperately to communicate something their body or brain doesn't know how to express any other way. And some of the causes are things owners accidentally create every single day without realizing it. These are the 8 hidden reasons your budgie screams for seemingly no reason. And once you understand them, your bird's behavior starts making a lot more sense. Let's start with the mistake most owners unknowingly train into their budgie themselves. Number 1. You accidentally taught them that screaming works. This happens constantly. Your budgie screams. You instantly look over. Maybe you rush to the cage. Maybe you uncover them. Maybe you talk softly to calm them down. And your budgie's brain immediately notices something important. Screaming changes my environment. In the wild, flock calls are survival tools. A separated budgie screams until another bird responds. So when you react instantly every time they scream, your bird slowly learns the exact same pattern. When I make this sound, my flock comes back. That's why some budgies scream the second you leave the room, not because they hate being alone, because screaming successfully reconnects them with you. And once the brain learns a behavior works, it repeats it more and more, not manipulation, just instinct. Number 2, your budgie feels lonely. Humans seriously underestimate how social budgies really are. Wild budgies almost never experience true silence. There are always flock sounds around them, tiny chirps, movement, calls in the distance. That constant communication tells their nervous system, you are not alone, you are safe. Now compare that to many homes. Whores alone in a quiet room, no birds responding, no social interaction, nothing happening. To us, that environment feels peaceful. To a flock animal, it can feel emotionally wrong. And eventually the silence becomes stressful enough that the budgie starts screaming just to create connection again. This is why some birds instantly calm down when they simply hear your voice from another room. They weren't trying to be annoying. They were trying to locate their flock. Number 3. Something in the environment feels dangerous. This is where budgie psychology becomes difficult for humans to understand, because budgies notice things you never even register consciously. A shadow moving outside, a ceiling fan changing speed, a jacket hanging differently, a reflection in glass, a bird flying past the window. Their eyes evolve to detect danger instantly. And in nature, hesitating even 1 second too long can mean death, so their nervous system reacts before logic ever enters the picture. That's why your budgie can go from calm to explosive screaming in less than a second. And once that fear response activates, their body doesn't care whether the danger is real, only that it might be. A lot of random screaming is actually panic you never saw coming. Number 4, your home is too quiet. This sounds backwards, but complete silence can actually make some budgies more anxious. Because in the wild, sudden silence usually means danger nearby. Flocks become quiet when something feels wrong. So when a budgie sits in an unnaturally silent room for long periods, their brain can slowly shift into alert mode. That's why many birds relax more with soft talking, light TV sounds, quiet music, or gentle background noise, not loud chaos, just proof that life around them is continuing normally. For humans, silence feels calm. For prey animals, silence can feel suspicious. Number 5, they are extremely bored. Budgies are far more intelligent than most people realize. In the wild, their brains are constantly engaged, flying, exploring, communicating, avoiding danger, finding food. Now imagine sitting in the same cage every day with almost nothing changing. Same toys, same perch, same environment, same routine. Eventually, the brain starts searching desperately for stimulation. And screaming creates stimulation instantly. It changes the environment, gets reactions, creates movement. You'll often notice bored budgies, pace around the cage, climb obsessively, make repetitive sounds, or suddenly become much louder over time. A mentally unstimulated budgie almost always becomes noisier eventually, because energy with nowhere to go turns into frustration. Number 6, your budgie might be hormonal. Sometimes the screaming seems to appear out of nowhere. Nothing changed in the room, nothing changed in the routine, but suddenly your bird becomes louder, moodier, more reactive, sometimes even aggressive. That's often hormonal behavior. Budgie hormones can completely change their emotional state temporarily, and the triggers are surprisingly common. Too many daylight hours mirrors dark nesting spaces. Certain touching behaviors, seasonal changes. During hormonal periods, their nervous system becomes much more sensitive. And because humans can't see hormones happening, the screaming feels random from the outside. But biologically, your bird's brain is operating very differently during those phases. Number 7, your budgie is stressed by something you missed. Budgies hide stress extremely well. In the wild, showing weakness makes animals targets. So instead of displaying obvious stress immediately, they often suppress it quietly until the nervous system eventually spills over. And sometimes, that overflow becomes screaming. The difficult part is how small the triggers can seem to humans: new furniture, a different smell, guests visiting, loud electronics, different lighting, another pet nearby. Things humans adapt to easily can overwhelm a prey animal's nervous system completely. That's why owners often say they started screaming for absolutely no reason. But usually, the reason had been building slowly in the background for hours or even days. And finally, the bird reached its limit. Number 8, your budgie could actually be sick. This is the one you should never ignore. Because sometimes screaming has nothing to do with behavior at all. It's physical discomfort. Birds instinctively hide illness for as long as possible. That's why many owners miss early symptoms completely. But some budgies become unusually loud right before visible sickness appears, especially if the screaming comes with puffed feathers, tail bobbing, sleeping, more reduced appetite, weakness, or strange posture. At that point, the scream may not be emotional anymore, it may be distress, and because budgies decline very quickly once seriously ill, waiting too long can become dangerous fast. That's why sudden, unexplained screaming should always make you observe the rest of their behavior carefully, because sometimes the sound is the first warning sign you get. Your budgie is almost never screaming for nothing. Every scream means something: fear, stress, loneliness, hormones, boredom, instinct, discomfort. The problem is, humans hear noise. While budgies think they're communicating clearly, and once you stop treating screaming like random bad behavior, you begin noticing patterns you never saw before: the timing, the triggers, the emotional state behind it. Your bird starts making sense, because underneath all the noise, your budgie is trying to tell you something the only way they know how. And the owners who learn to understand those signals usually end up building the strongest bonds with their birds.